country that she'd never been in or something like that. This is a totally different situation. Why are Democrats constantly defending criminals? We're not talking about the people who were working in a factory and maybe they came to the country 10 years ago and they thought it was a different arrangement. We're talking about people who have actually committed crimes, and the Democrats continue to defend them. And in some cases where we're talking about people who are apparently affiliated with gangs, I've lived in Northern Virginia. People are not going to go for that. They don't like it. They don't appreciate it. And there's criminal data that's stacking up that indicates that this is a reckless position.
The county board says the county will comply with federal law under all circumstances. Does that encourage you?
No, because I don't think they mean it. I think we've seen interview after interview where Democrat elected officials continue to hedge their bets or come right out and tell you, we're not interested in cooperating. Look, you can hate Donald Trump all you want. I mean, I'm just not going to argue with you about that, but you got to obey the law and you've got to protect your citizens. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running for lieutenant governor. Is I was in Richmond in 2020 when the riots were taking place. Everybody heard about Portland and Seattle and New York and down. You didn't hear about what was happening in Richmond. And I watched it firsthand and said, I'm not going to let my hometown and my home state be victimized by people who won't obey the law. We're never all going to agree. That's okay. I'm a big boy. We can have the discussion. We can have the debate. But we've got to obey the law. And Democrats have decided to heck with it. And this is such a fundamental issue that I think the average person actually understands and appreciates, and they know that it's a threat to their safety in their home, that I have no problem going across the state of Virginia, from Northern Virginia to Bristol down in Southwest, and to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. And I think the average person is going to go, you know what? We may disagree on some things, but this is something we're solid on.
Let's talk about your race. So I've known you more than 30 years, since we were kid reporters in Waco, Texas.
Going back.
You made the jump from media, talk radio, you were a very successful host in Richmond, to running statewide. What surprised you about this race?
Well, I'm not sure there were any surprises. I knew it would be, high elbows, if not ugly, and it has certainly lived up to that reputation. The gentleman who was running against me dropped out, and now I'm the nominee, and there's some people who, there's a shakeout period here. But the reason that I left the radio station is because this is my home state, and I care about Virginia. And if you go to, johnreidforvirginia.com, you'll see things that I have written myself and a history of decades of standing up for conservative principles and, kind of coming under fire over and over again. And there's too much on the line this year. And I'm glad we've got the president here in Washington making